Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Yearbook. I am Willie, and with me, as always, is Mr. Tim. What's up, buddy?
What's going on?
You know, stuff, man. It's the Halloween season. The leaves are falling.
Great day, yeah.
Looking beautiful.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, right. It's a pretty time of year. Starting to feel the existential dread of winter, though. The nights are getting cold.
And we're getting to that point where on the days we go to work, you go to work in the dark and you come home in the dark.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
And it's going to be that way for a while.
A little bit. The winters in the area we live are not my favorite.
No, they are not.
But I've tried to live in the moment and enjoy like the 4 weeks of perfect fall that we do have here.
It has been a very nice fall so far.
Yeah.
Better than the last couple of years.
Yes.
Less wet, which is nice.
I like that because I don't like the wet leaves.
Mm-hmm. I believe last season it snowed on Halloween last year.
It did because I was outside with my son, my then 7-month-old son. Yeah,
it was not fun.
It was not, but he was having it was the first snow he'd ever seen, so it was kind of like a special moment on
Pretty
Halloween.
Cool.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
See, now I'm from up north of where we are, and
you're used to snow in September.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is not uncommon. Like we had the jackets over our costumes up there all the time. The snow jackets.
Yeah, that's pretty common even down here because it's like I said, it's usually rainy on Halloween.
Yeah,
I'm hoping for a decent Halloween. Oh, we had one a couple years back where it was actually quite nice out.
Right.
And I'd like another one. Be nice.
I thought I saw the weather. I thought I was watching. Are you channel? What channel are you? I'm a Channel 4 guy. I like Kim Adams. Oh no.
No.
I'm a Kim Adams. I like Channel 4.
Yeah, I don't tune in. I just use the weather app and hope for the best.
Well, yeah. I think she said it was supposed to be it was supposed to warm up a little next week.
Hey,
so.
I hope so.
I wanted to get you mentioned the weather. I had dinner tonight down at Green Lantern Pizza.
I just got a couple of gift cards for Green Lantern.
Very nice.
From my soccer parents, the kids I coach. Very, very kind of them to do that.
And Green Lantern is, you want good Detroit-style pizza, anybody? Green Lantern's got
delightful.
That deep dish style. I guess it's not technically, I don't know what the Detroit...
they do Detroit style.
Yeah, this Detroit style. It doesn't have to have the sauce on the top.
No.
For Detroit style, right?
Just the deep dish. So, like, the Chicago style has to be that weird...
Yeah, the thicker.
Horrifying thing.
I like Chicago style. I know
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I know I'm not supposed to on this podcast network, but I like it's my least favorite of the three big ones. I like New York, then Detroit, then Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. So
the Ohio style is not.
Which one is that?
It's like a Lunchable pizza. They don't melt the cheese. They just drop shredded cheese on.
There's the Altoona style too. Have you seen that? Where they just throw a slice. It looks like a slice of like Kraft slices.
What are we doing?
So we're walking up. We get dinner. We're getting Detroit style pizza tonight, and we let my son walk. Like we took his stroller up because we knew on the way back we were going to need it. Mm-hmm. But like we let him walk, and then he would stop every 2 seconds and pick something up, and we go, Wyatt, you want some pizza? And he'd go, yeah. He'd like run forward. And then we realized when we got there, like we told him like, you want some pizza, and promised him pizza like 100 times on this walk. And then we got there, we ordered him grilled chicken. So he was probably like, oh, these assholes.
Thanks, guys. He's not going to forget that.
He had no problem eating it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Green Lantern does have good food beyond just pizza. I mean, pizza is that's their bread and butter. But they do have good. I've had burgers there, and they're pretty solid burger. You know,
Green Lantern not based
good
on
tots too.
Like excellent tots. My wife got tots tonight, and they give you a ton of tots. She and my son were, and they didn't even make a dent. So I had a couple too.
Hell yeah. Dude, why not? You've earned a tot or two.
The Green Lantern though is like it's not the DC Comics character. It's like a ghost story.
Yes.
It's based upon a ghost story. I believe it's a ghost story about like a Green Lantern as the ships are coming into the night. I think the legend takes
draw
place.
them into it to wreck their ship.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's like a siren, but similar to that. But I think it's supposed to play in the UP. Is it like a UP based story?
I think so. Yeah. Well, there's about 4 billion lighthouses.
Mm-hmm.
And,
so it's not
shipwreck stories up in the UP.
Yeah. So it's not Guy Gardner or John Stewart
or Alan Scott or Hal Jordan or
Is that all the green?
Jon Stewart.
Yeah, is that all the Green
Kilowog.
Lanterns? I watched Rebel Ridge. That was good. He's playing one of the lanterns.
That's right.
Him and Kyle Chandler.
Kyle Chandler. And there's a third, right?
Is there?
I think so.
Okay.
Wait, isn't what's it, Fillion? Isn't he playing one? Yeah, he's playing Guy.
Oh, he's playing him in the Superman movie. But he'll probably show up in Lanterns.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people mad. Like, they're like, well, why don't you just call it Green Lanterns? And I'm like, well, aren't there like a ton of different lanterns? There's like red lanterns and shit like that.
Yeah, orange.
Yeah, there's all sorts of lanterns.
Violet
But
lanterns? I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway.
Cool. Anyway. Yeah, so what were we talking about?
The weather.
The weather, yes, the weather outside is not frightful yet, but it feels like we're getting there. Yeah, so very busy. October's wrapping up. Soccer season's wrapping up.
Yeah.
Of course, we've been coaching our daughter's team, and it's been a delight. And also, it's not easy.
Yeah.
To coach 6-year-olds.
You can corral them a little easier, though, right? Or
no,
they're not focused on like the game as much.
Oh, it's a mixed bag.
Okay.
Let's go with that. Yeah. Some of the kids are very much like when the game is going, they're pretty focused on the game. Other kids, including my own, not as much.
Okay.
And that's okay. It's fun. It's rewarding. I enjoy it overall.
You're coaching, right? I can't remember if you mentioned that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're coaching.
I am a coach.
What kind of coach are you?
I'm a sidelines coach. I'm not on the field. I do not talk.
What's your coaching style? Are you like negative reinforcement? Are you positive reinforcement?
Every time a kid comes off the field,
yeah,
I make sure to tell them something I noticed about their gameplay that I really appreciated.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so you are. That seems like your coaching styles. Yeah.
Yes. I yell a lot, like to the kids on the field.
Okay.
While I'm on the sidelines.
Okay.
You know, focus. Where's the ball? That kind of stuff. Because,
right.
But it's not yelling out of aggression or frustration. It's yelling out of if I want to get their attention, I have to be loud.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, they're going to be. They won't. Notice me. So no, I try to be. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, they're 6 and 7. You can't like get too in their face.
No.
Wait till they get. Wait till they get older. Then you get in there, girl.
I won't be. I'll be out of the game at that point.
Challenge there.
I won't be. I will not be coaching middle and high school soccer teams. I just won't be doing that. But no, it's a lot of fun. And I wish we had a little bit of a better win percentage here this season. I'll be honest. The selfish part of me wishes we had a couple more wins under our belt. But you know what? They improved over the season. They played with heart.
Are they all done?
Got one more game.
Okay.
Yep, one more. The season's all wrapped up. And it's always a bittersweet feeling when the season wraps up because it's the third season doing this. And there's times during the season, admittedly, where you go like, all right, how many more games do we got? Like, how many more weeks of like being a coach? Because it's hard. And then you get to the last couple games and you're like, oh, man.
You can't do it for
I miss these little dudes. Because
the next time you might see them, like let's say even if they're on a team next year, like they're going to be completely different kids.
I won't see them again until spring.
Yeah, and
there's a good chance I'm not coaching next season, so that's going to be kind of a bummer. But it's so that's wrapping up. What else is going on? I don't know. Record the first episode of a new podcast I'm doing.
Oh yeah, plug this
one.
Not
out yet, so
I don't want to do it yet.
Well,
okay, nah. Well,
wanna
give a tease. Can you give a tease at least?
Give a tease. It is a podcast about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
I'll say that. All things Ninja Turtles.
And if people know us, and especially know you, we have talked about the Turtles in the past, I believe, on this show, and definitely on Multimedia, but you have definitely talked about it on Tiny Terror, so people know you are like an expert.
Big Turtles fan.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And this one's, it's been cooking for a while. Like, it's kind of come together. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I will, when the time comes to actually, Yeah. But it was the first episode I had a ton of fun with, and it was, it's always weird, like, recording with other people, right?
Yeah.
It's like you and I have been recording.
It's pretty much, I can't remember.
It's you and I.
Like, we would, like, the last, like, we had John on.
For a Tiny Terror. And that was like that.
Yeah.
But it's still you and I, so it's kind of
then
weird
Nikki
recording
has been
with
on.
other people. Like
it's been a long. It's been you and I. It's just been for a couple of years now.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah. I haven't talked to anybody. Yeah.
Yes. And like I've literally never met one of the hosts in person ever once. And the other host I have met a handful of times, but it's under different circumstances, and it's always so. Yeah, I was like going in. I was like, man, is this gonna work? It worked. So I'm happy with it.
Good.
But did that. I'm excited. I'm going to. I know that some of our folks don't like us talking wrestling, but I'm going to.
It was just that one guy.
yes, that's true. TNA Bound for Glory is coming
that's this
to
weekend.
Detroit.
Yeah,
it's this weekend on Saturday. I'm going. I got invited to go. I'm really excited. Good. Like, yeah. So, I'm pumped for that.
Good, have fun. Yeah,
it'll be a good time. Yeah, Vikingo on the card.
Oh, who's he?
Speedball.
Oh, that'll be awesome. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, I'm geeked for that for sure. Yeah, there's a couple other matches on the card that I'm pretty pumped for too.
What else is on it?
Nemeth and Joe Hendry for the championship is going to be fun.
I don't believe in either of those people, but continue.
You're not a fan of Joe Hendry?
I don't like either one of those guys.
Interesting, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Normally I'm pretty positive. No, I don't get it. I don't get it, but that's fine. It's not for me.
he's I like Joe Hendry's like presentation because it's funny. Like it's a fun, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, comedy's subjective.
Yeah, fair enough. But there's also they're doing a Frankie Kazarian, Sami Callihan.
Oh, I love the heavy metal rebel Frankie Kazarian.
So this is a 20-person intergender call your shot gauntlet match.
Okay, absolutely.
And it's got Frankie, it's got AJ Francis, it's got Sami Callihan, it's got Laredo Kid, Jake something, Jason Hotch. There's a bunch of people in it.
That's fun.
That'll be fun. Mike Santana versus Moose.
I like both those guys.
Yeah. Yep. The System versus the Hardys versus ABC.
Who are the System?
That's Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then versus the Hardys.
Okay.
Versus ABC, which is Ace Austin and Chris Bay, that Bullet Club
guys.
Oh,
the Bullet Club guys, yeah.
So that's a 3-way Full Metal Mayhem match for the Tag Team Championships.
Ooh.
Jordan Grace versus Masha Slamovich.
Okay.
That'll be a good match, I'm sure. There's a tag match for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Jody Threat and Danny Luna versus Rosemary and Wendy Chu.
Oh, okay.
We have Josh Alexander versus Steve Macklin.
I like both those guys quite a bit. Those two guys are, like, when I was watching, are a couple of my favorites. Josh Alexander's back. I know he was hurt for a while.
Yes, he's back. Yes. And, so Bailey versus Vikingo for
That'll be awesome.
For the X Division.
Okay. So is Bailey the X Division champion? Or is Vikingo?
Bailey is currently, yes. And then this is the one that I think you'd be most excited for. This is for the TNA Digital Media Championship.
Like, sold.
This is the champion, PCO.
I do like PCO. I saw PCO. PCO, I saw him and Walter one year at a Joey Janela show, and it was the best match at that WrestleMania weekend. It was fucking awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. So PCO is the champ.
Gunther now, right? Yeah.
Yes. Versus Matt Cardona in a Monsters Ball match. Basically, it's going to be insanity.
That will be funny. That will be funny. That sounds like a fun show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Bound for Glory. That's their big one, right? Yeah.
That's the big one. Yep.
Is that in Windsor or Detroit? No, that's in the city.
Fieldhouse.
Yep. Okay.
Wayne State Fieldhouse. So, yeah.
Very nice. Not a far drive. Yes. Very cool.
No, I'm Ubering.
Oh, yeah. It gets right down Woodward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Uber. Yeah.
Nice.
So, that'll be fun. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about Monster Squad.
Yeah. Okay. We got to do a time machine. We haven't done this in like 2 months, a time machine.
Man.
I didn't prepare anything for the time machine, but that's okay. We already wasted enough time talking about the weather.
And wrestling. All right. We're headed back to 1987. I'm a year old. You are 3.
3.
All right. Let's get a sound. Tim, you never make the sound. Let's get a sound, dude. Classic monster sound. Very nice. Mm-hmm. Or a squeaky door. Really squeaky door.
A bad engine. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Time machine, we got to warm it back up. We haven't taken it out for a spin in a couple months.
It's beaten down like us sometimes.
I feel energized. Like, I was watching this bad boy, like Monster Squad, and I felt like, oh my God, it's been a bit since I've seen this one. I love this movie.
It's a shot of adrenaline.
Yes.
I love this movie very much.
Yeah, I don't have anything like time. Let's just jump into the movie real quick. If you're
so real quick, the synopsis.
Oh, yeah.
So a group of 12-year-olds form a Universal Monsters fan club. Do they, though? Kind of. Called Monster Squad.
I wouldn't call... Yeah, that's not specifically... Like, they're not Universal Monsters.
This is a weird...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this IMDb?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the top one, so I'm going with it.
Yep.
And have to attempt to save their hometown from Count Dracula and his monsters when they show up for real.
I mean, to be fair, it's not just their hometown they're saving here, right? I mean, once Dracula...
It's like our reality, right?
Yeah.
It's like our universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's bigger than that. Yeah, starring Andre Gower, Stephen Macht, Duncan Rager, Tom Noonan, Ryan Lambert, Ashley Bank, Mary Ellen Trainor, John Grimes,
Mary Lynn Trainor, yep.
and Jason Hervey of Wonder Years fame. Just met Jason Hervey, by the way.
He's also of... he was a big... Speaking of pro wrestling.
Yes.
Yeah, he worked with the Bish for a while.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Just met him in an elevator hotel.
I believe you talked to... And you know what? I mentioned Eric Bischoff on that. So let's move.
No, but yeah, I was just going to say...
yeah,
I really... Like, I wanted to bring up Monster Squad, and I was like, nah. He's with his family. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
He actually initiated conversation, so...
If you ever meet David Faustino's brother that's in this, though, you have to bring up Monster Squad. David Faustino from Married with Children.
That's
his
right.
brother is in this. Apparently Dustin Diamond was supposed to be in this, too. Like, there's trivia that he was going to be one of the kids, like one of the bullies, I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I don't know if he got cut out of the movie completely or if he just...
Could be in the background somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know where the story came from either. It was like on IMDb trivia that I
like
wanted.
that.
Yeah.
You can always trust IMDb.
Absolutely. I believe 6 of 7 people found that helpful.
Hey, there you go. Who's that 7th person?
From me. I'm like, this is not helpful at all. How is this helpful in my daily life? Actually,
Thumbs down. All right, Tim.
Yeah,
you,
sorry.
kind of had the idea to break this down character by character.
Character by character.
I had not thought of. We hadn't done this in a while. I like that idea a lot. So,
yeah,
let's cover the squad first, okay?
Yep.
Our human characters, I think.
Do you want to give our thoughts on the movie overall, though, before we dive in here?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just as we like, or
I mean,
maybe our
we
past.
did, but like, I love it.
Yeah. When do you remember when you first watched it? Because I did want to talk about that before.
Yes. I watched it on cable.
Yeah, which this
like
thing
most.
played. Yeah.
And this did not do well in the theater.
No.
Which I get because I don't really know who this movie is for. Well, actually, I do know weird kids like me.
Yeah. Who could like, but like
handle it.
Kids too young to like kind of go to the theater themselves. Yeah.
Correct.
But the other thing too is like a lot of times I'll watch like I would watch the Wolfman's Got Nards documentary before this too, which is quite good if anybody
really
wants
good.
to check it out. Yeah, it's very good. It's done by is it Andre Gower? So anyway, I was watching that and like they talked about it a little bit. And a lot of times when I watch documentaries like that and they're talking about their movie that bombed, I kind of roll my eyes because they're always like, it was the marketing. It was the marketing. Or like, it was the... But I'm like... But like, sometimes like, I'm like, okay, well, your movie was never actually going to make... Right. This one, though, it was released in August, which is a weird time to release this movie, too. Like you mentioned, I don't know who this is for, but also, like, it was released a week or two after Lost Boys came out.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that's probably got a pretty similar audience. And
yes,
the problem with Lost Boys, it's so cool, and I love Monster Squad, but Monster Squad is so square compared to Lost Boys. Like it is, like it's
not sexy. It's goofy and silly. Yeah.
So Lost Boys probably stole that in a lot of ways, stole that audience, and the audience probably looked at this and went, "What is this, kids? Like the old monsters? Like we got the cool vampires in the theater."
Right. Well, you had your older kid audience was going to sneak into Lost Boys, or like find it like somebody to buy him a ticket to Lost Boys because like I want to see that. That's got the blood and guts, like that's the And then the younger kid audience, the parents would probably see the trailer and go, that ain't gonna fly. Like can't. I'm not taking my kid to that. So it
lives in this weird middle ground. The other thing too is that it came out like I think like 6 months before Lethal Weapon. Yeah, which was written by Shane Black, who also co-wrote this.
It may have helped.
It may have, like, if you slap.
If they had released this in October, I think it would have done
that's
better. I can't say for sure that it would have, blown up, but
right.
It did not do as well as it deserves. I'll say that.
Yep.
But yeah, so I saw it on cable, and And I remember this. I remember my dad was recording on VHS the movie off of cable as I was watching it.
Okay.
So like I fell in love with it the first viewing. I was like, this is the best movie I've ever seen in my life. Like it was like just obsessed. And then I could go back and watch it over and over again. I believe the commercials were intact too. Nice. I don't have the tape currently, but hopefully it's somewhere. It was Sci-Fi Channel. It was on.
Oh, okay. That makes
Yep. Early Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah. SCI-FI.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I loved it. I still love it. Josie has watched most of this movie. Like
Did you watch it with her this time around?
No.
Okay.
We've watched it previously, but the thing with movies with kids her age is like they're good for most movies they're good for about a half hour to 45 minutes, and they're kind of like out.
Yeah.
If they're glued in the whole time, that's a winner.
Yep.
This one, she made it about 45 minutes, and she was like, okay, I'm kind of
that's good.
over it. Yeah, not bad.
More than half the movie.
yeah, solid run.
Which is the thing I love about this movie, actually. Yeah.
Right. But, so it's a classic, man. It's one of my favorites. So
I wanted to bring up the first thing, because my story about, I must have watched this when I was a really young kid. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those movies that, like, growing up, it was never like a touchstone of mine. It was never like a one that I went back to a lot. But I remember
too.
That was another thing too. Like this one, yeah, like you said, it wasn't easy to find until I think not recently. I guess
I think until
relatively
people our age got old enough to like get in positions where we could go, why is this not on DVD?
Well, yes. Yeah, and I remember like the lead up to that Wolfman's Got Nards, which I think is in 2016. I remember a lot of people talking about Monster Squad then, and I kind of think that's when I revisited it. Was later on down the road, because this is a movie that came like flooding back to me when I rewatched it like down the road, because I hadn't seen it in forever. I hadn't even thought about it in a long time until I was listening to people talk about it, and then I revisited it. Like I was listening to certain podcasts, probably Movie Crypt.
Opened up a part of your brain that was like dormant.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was watching, and like, there were certain scenes that like I went, oh shit, that's where this is from. Like it's the Frankenstein monster scene at the end where he's being sucked into the portal and the kid, and like that is like I saw that and I went, oh my god, like I remember this like affecting me as a young kid, like watching it.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, so like this is what like a movie that like I revisited later after just like one of those movies I watched as a kid, and then it just kind of disappeared for a while from me, and I didn't think about it, and then it was like one of these weird like almost like formative
strange, right? There's a handful of movies like that, and it's rare, but when you watch them, it's like I would guess they're going to continue to open up to you as you start to watch movies with Wyatt, like as he gets older.
Yeah,
because it does that. Like so, like I remember watching the not Care Bears the movie, okay, but Care Bears 2.
Okay.
And Nikki was super into Care Bears as a kid, and I know I knew I had seen the movies as a kid for sure. But we watched that second one, and this is during like peak COVID. Josie was like 2.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, and I'm like, oh my god, I remember every song from this movie. I remember like every musical number, and like I remember but it was completely dormant. Like it was like this weird feeling of like, oh my god, like like I can hum this song, and it's been in there the whole time somewhere, and I just
I haven't gotten that with movie things now, but like there are certain things like I'll do, and I go like, oh, I think my mom did that.
Sure.
When I was young, like
sure.
like
it's not just movies, right?
Yes, like but like it is kind of the same thing where like stuff will snap back to you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's a weird thing. Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that, but yeah, my thoughts on it are this movie is a ton of fun, and it came to me when we wanted to do a Halloween movie, and it's not a Halloween movie technically, but like
it's not, but.
I always associate the Universal monsters and these monsters with Halloween. Like, these are Halloween movies to me. And this is a big, goofy, fun, not spooky, but it's a big, goofy, fun Halloween movie. That's what it is to me. These are the kind of movies I watch during Halloween season.
They're relatively safe.
Yep.
Usually they have some sort of kid component or like a youthful kind of vibe about them. And Universal Monsters, it's like, that's Halloween, man.
Yep.
Still. So, yeah.
Okay, so you wanted to start with the squad or the monsters?
I think we start with the squad.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. Okay. The monsters, I think we're going to take a little more time on because they're the monsters, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's start with the squad.
Who do you want to go with first?
I think Sean, right? He's the leader.
Yeah, we got to go with the leader, right?
He's the leader, right? He has that awesome T-shirt, which I still want to buy. There's
Stephen King rolls.
1 billion on Etsy.
Yep.
So,
that shirt has become kind of like an iconic shirt from this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was listening to that interview with Frank Dekker on the movie Crypt.
Fred.
I told you that.
Frank,
I always do Frank Dekker. Why do I do that?
He's got a brother? I don't know.
Is there a Frank Dekker? I feel like there might be a Frank Dekker. Anyway, Fred Dekker. He was on Movie Crypt with just Adam Green, and they were talking about this. This is around the time. It's like 2018, I think, 2019. Okay. Anyway, but he was talking. He claims that there's a picture of Stephen King out there in a Monster Squad rules shirt that is exactly like. And nice. I tried to Google search this. I could not find it. So if anybody can find it, please let me know. Tag us.
I hope it exists.
Yeah, email us horrormovieyearbook.com at gmail.com.
I bet King liked this movie.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Seems right.
Yeah, you know what? It has similarities to a lot of his work. Mm-hmm. It especially. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Stand by Me. Well, yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, so Sean was always kind of the. I kind of related to this character in some ways because, like, my parents didn't have the issues that his are going through, and I want to start by saying, like, this movie works so well and it holds up so well because it treats its child characters with respect.
Mm-hmm.
It treats them with a certain degree of honesty and despite, like, the fantastic insanity of the movie, like, they feel like real kids. They feel like real kids that are having real challenges. Like, they're getting in trouble at school. Their parents maybe aren't getting along all the time. And it even happens with, like, Phoebe later on, Sean's little sister. There's a scene where, I'm just using this as, like, one example of, I think, many in the film, where her mom's putting her to bed, and she says, like, are you going to yell at him? And the mom assumes that it's the dad because they've been fighting. It's like, I love touches like that because it makes it like these are kids that live a real life. Like, they're not going to fight. Like, the week before this happens, they were living real kid lives, dealing with real problems, right? And the week after this movie ends, they're going to go back to that. Like, these are, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are kids who are living. Yeah,
and I think the other thing too along those lines that this movie does really well is it doesn't let those things overwhelm this movie. And I have seen kids movies where they let the sadness of those situations like seep in too much.
They're very much peripheral things going on. Yes.
And I actually think that makes it more effective.
Yes.
With that, because then those moments really hit. There's another moment we'll talk about later when we talk about Scary German Guy that I think hits really hard too.
Yes. But I think that's Shane Black.
Yes.
Or, well, and Fred Dekker.
Fred Dekker.
To be fair, it's that team because they I think that they're both strong enough writers where, like, they're not going to talk down to children.
Dekker or Shane Black especially has always been good at writing kids, or I've always liked kids that he's written. I'm thinking of Last Boy Scout.
Yes.
And Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Too. Just off the top of my head. Yes. Yep. But he's always been good at writing kids.
Children characters.
And that's a tough balance too, because you don't want to write them too young where they come off as, I don't want to say stupid, but yeah, but like you don't want to write them like that. But you also don't want to write them too old. You know what I mean?
Because that's obnoxious too.
You don't want them to sound like adults.
Yep.
There's a middle ground, and I think what Sean represents too, and I think this movie does a great job of capturing, is like me and my buddies had our own language that we spoke, and they have it too. Like they talk. They speak in their own language to each other. There are different callbacks. There's different things they talk about. Me and my buddies have like our own in-jokes. I'm sure you did too. So
yeah, for sure. Yats was mine in elementary school.
Did you ever say nards? I was always a nads kid when talking about them. What was your slang term for balls?
I don't know, actually. What was my slang? I think it was balls.
Nads, I think, was probably Beavis and Butthead was probably a big thing.
I would have said nads before nards.
Me too. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever said nards.
But yats was mine.
Yats?
That was a code for boobs. They were yats. The parents will never figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember some of mine. But.
Yeah. Check out them Yats. We're super mature. But no, so I always relate to Sean in the sense that, like, I certainly wasn't in his exact situation or anything like that, but, like, my childhood, Dad was gone a lot between work and band stuff, right? I saw him plenty on like the on the weekends mostly, or like an hour before bed, right? Sean's dad's gone a lot because of his like police work. It's a point in the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we always bonded over horror movies and movies in general. And there's a really sweet scene that always reminds me of me and my dad when Sean's dad comes home from his shift. Sean's on top of the roof watching the drive-in, and he shows up with like a hamburger and like Burger King.
Yes,
right. Total. That's me and my dad. Like that would be 100%. So that character for me always resonates because it's like, okay, like that reminds me of my childhood to a certain degree. You know, yeah, not the turmoil necessarily, but yeah. So I dig this character.
Yeah, and the other thing I like about Sean too is he's obviously pouring himself into this club, like, and tracking down these monsters, and it's to kind of distract himself from what's going on in his house.
Sure, yeah.
And I think that's, an interesting to look at with a kid. And
was I doing that?
I don't know. But it's a way to. I think it's almost inspiring in a way too, because like it's like how some kids find their creativity, find their voice, like find what they want to be, what they want to do, what they love. And so I think it funnels a bad situation, which is his home life, into something constructive, or at least that gets him away from that and lets him be a kid a little bit. Yeah. But there also is a sadness because he is the one that's experiencing this, and then his younger sister is kind of too young to really grasp the situation. While he is grasping the situation.
Right. Yeah, he's great though. The performance is really strong.
He's got that great line too when he says a prescription is for drugs, which is what you're on if you think you're going to be
so good.
There are some really great one-liners.
They have great lines. Like, everybody does. I mean, the back and forth between the dad and his partner is great too.
There's some really fun like rapid fire, like almost like old screwball comedy style. Yep. Which is Shane Black. Yeah.
Very Shane Black.
Yes. Anything else you want to say about Sean?
No, Sean's awesome. Andre Gower didn't do a ton of stuff after this that I'm aware of. But he did
produce and direct the Wolfman's Got Nards documentary. That was him. Yep.
Yeah. But no, really good kid actor. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did have a massive heart attack in 2021. He was playing tennis. The doctor said he had 10 minutes, like they only had 10 minutes to spare, and they got him to the hospital like just in time. So like he had like a massive heart attack.
Oh, man, I had no idea.
Yeah, so I think he seems to be doing better. So yeah,
good.
Anyway, which squad member you want to talk about next?
Patrick, right? Patrick's
the He's almost introduced as the second kind of man, but I think Patrick kind of floats to the background.
He kind of does a little bit of everything. Like, he bounces, but he's like super important because, he's the best friend, right?
Yes.
So like, if Sean is our lead, which I think he is, I think it's fair to say, in terms of the squad, then Patrick is that's his ride or die, as the kids say.
Right.
Do they say that still?
Sure.
Yeah. Why not? Every good lead character needs...
My kid just says, boo, ball. So, like, I don't know what the kids are saying. My kid still... He's got a vocabulary of 10 words right now, so he's not saying ride or die yet.
All right. Let me know.
Sorry.
I'll ask Josie if she knows what that means. I'm not going to do that. But Patrick, you have to have the Patrick because he is... he's like the ultimate, like... support system for Sean. Like, we don't get a lot of his background or anything, but he is the guy who clearly him and Sean have been friends all throughout grade school, and like in my brain they formed the Monster Squad.
Yeah,
like, this was it might have been more Sean's thing, but Patrick's like, let's do it, man.
Yeah,
like, I like monsters are cool. Sure, I'm along for the ride. So I like Patrick. Another fun performance. Another actor who didn't do a ton.
He was Job in Children of the Corn, but that was before this.
Right,
but yeah,
right. But I
think he's still on the convention circuit. I think he does a lot of conventions,
as he should.
Yeah, I think the Monster Squad are pretty deep into conventions. I like Patrick, like I said, I do think he kind of fades into the background at times. But like that's because Sean is the lead. Sean is the leader, and he kind of.
Yes.
What I like about Patrick and Sean though is early on, I like that scene with the two of them in the principal's office because like they're smart kids, but like they are not the type of kids that are always going to be successful in school. Because
we see that, right?
Yes,
they're distracted. Their heads are heads are
going. They're smart kids, but like they're thinking about other things. They're daydreaming.
That's without saying too much. Like that's kind of like where I see my kid kind of academically crushing it, but she's so much like creative and just like thinking about
it is it's
absolutely
not a bad
thing.
No,
it can be a challenge, but
it doesn't always mesh well with what our school systems are looking for at times. Yes. Exactly. And that's where these kids fit in. But I like those characters.
Yes.
And I like that about them. And you mentioned it too. He's good in this. Every kid actor in this movie, and maybe it's the way they're written too, but like they have that one line that they have to nail or that one moment they have to nail. And when he screams at, it's his sister, right? Who's not the virgin.
Yeah.
And he goes, doesn't count.
It's
like
so
he
good.
Absolutely crushes.
It's so good.
Line.
It's so genuine. Like,
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he feels every bit of that. Yeah. He's really good. All the kids are really good.
Yeah.
It's going to be redundant because we're going to say that a few times here, but like they're all very good.
Yep, and that's why I think I try to pull out some moments from each of them because like they all have them like this one moment where I go, oh god, that like that kid nailed that.
Yes, there's a few. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Let's talk Horace.
Okay,
fat kid.
Yeah.
So
I guess
great performance.
Yes. He passed away. This actor.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's an important character in the movie because I think you need the kid who's getting bullied, right?
Yep.
And he fits that really well. And unfortunately, the low-hanging fruit is he's a heavier kid.
Mm-hmm.
But that's real life too. Like that happens, unfortunately.
There are some things said in this movie that are not PC or even like appropriate. But what I will say is, kids in the 80s talk like that.
I'm not saying it's okay.
No, it's not okay.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
And I hope I don't offend anybody here. I'm trying to draw the line here. Nothing that is said by the bullies to Horace is glorified in any way.
No, they are the bullies.
They are mean, nasty, cruel kids. And they get their comeuppance. And now, do I love the fact that this stuff is said in this movie and that, like, if I want to show this movie to Josie, right, like, I have to, like, think about, that's a bummer. Like,
mm-hmm.
Like, of course, there's part of me that was just like, maybe those were excised, but I'm not going to knock the movie for
being a product of its time
that,
in some ways,
and for being honest about the fact that, like, kids can be nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, this is stuff that kids would say.
Right.
So,
but Horace is where, I just wanted to point that out, because Horace is where a lot of that comes into play, and it's early on, too.
Yes.
And I have seen
the majority
that.
Of the, But that being said, Brent Chalam's performance is really great, just like the other kids. He gets one of my favorite moments in the whole movie at the very end when he gets that talking the shotgun.
My name is Horace.
He's awesome, dude.
That's the moment I chose to.
He's great. Like,
I like that moment to be like Wolfman's Got Nards is kind of the thing that's kind of like I guess is caught on a little bit. Maybe it's because of the documentary name, but that was caught on before. But My Name is Horace is the one that I think is the better moment.
Well, and he's involved in the Nards bit too, right? He's the one who kicks the Nards.
Yep.
So I mean, he's even he's in the thick of it. Yeah, so it's great. And I might add, I do believe, with the exception of another squad member who kills most of the monsters in this.
Yeah.
I think he's the only one that gets a monster kill.
Yeah, I think so.
I think, right? I'm trying to run it back. He kills the creature.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
that's a hardcore, like the creature has a hole in him, and blood is coming out of it. That's another moment I remember from this movie as a kid, because it is it's like a burst of like kind of shocking violence. For a kid's
there's
movie.
a little bit there. Yeah. Maybe the kid wielding the shotgun is troublesome too, but
he's trying to kill monsters. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's fighting monsters. Let's talk really briefly about Eugene, one of our 2 younger kids. Eugene's adorable. Like he is like the cute kid that you got to have in the crew, and his line delivery is always kind of silly because he's like clearly like a baby.
The dog is Eugene's, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. The dog is great. I love that he sends the postcard to the army and they come. Awesome. My favorite Eugene moment is Mummy was in my room. That makes
the
me
mummy
laugh
in the
every
room
time.
part is like one of those bits that doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no sense what the mummy is doing. But you know what? It almost makes sense because I don't know what the mummy is doing half this movie.
Yeah, it's sweet. He's a wild card.
The mummy, you don't know where he's going to be at any time. So anyway, the mummy is just like this weird scene in the middle of the movie that like is kind of funny. Like the dad comes in and he's like this. The dad is really funny.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, there's a monster.
Oh, under the bed. That whole bit's great. So no, I do love Eugene.
Eugene's dog also is one of my favorite jokes in the movie. Is that the dog puts his paw in when they're doing.
It's so sweet.
And some kid goes off camera and goes, "How did the dog even get up here?"
It's so sweet. It's so cool. Love Eugene. Our other little kid character, like little kid character, Phoebe.
Yeah, I love Phoebe.
Phoebe rules. Dude.
Phoebe might be my favorite member.
She's my favorite member of the Monster Squad.
Yeah.
There's no question. As a kid, she was not.
Right.
As a young boy, I was like, yeah, Phoebe is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Cut it out. I didn't have a younger sister, a younger brother, but like he could be annoying sometimes. I'm like, oh, get this baby out of here. But like anytime I watch this movie since like my 20s, Phoebe's the best.
Yeah.
She's my spirit animal, man. Phoebe rules. Like
Phoebe wasn't on the original poster, I don't believe, and they put her on and like the newer.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so Phoebe, justice for Phoebe has worked out.
Phoebe rules.
Phoebe. Sorry. Go ahead.
Her and Sean's relationship is really sweet.
Yeah.
And it feels genuine, just like every other interaction with the kids in this movie. And I love. I cannot tell you her bond with Frankenstein's monster. I still get teary at a couple scenes with her and Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple moments in this movie where I like when he's sucked into the portal. Oh God, I'm done. Like, and she's so good.
She's so good at that moment. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
there's the other part where I think she gets picked up by Dracula too at one point. Right?
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, it scares her, and that was because they didn't.
I know.
It was kind of like in the moment. But you're right. So Frankenstein's monster. And the Frankenstein movie, those have always been. He's been my favorite Universal monster.
Yeah, right.
And he's one of my favorite characters, and I think it's because of this movie. Like,
it's a big part of it, right?
And it's Tom Noonan, of course, but it's Phoebe too. Like how much she loves the monster, and it is. He's the one a kid would latch on to because he's a big. He doesn't know anybody. He's a big goofy guy. And I love too the way the movie plays because they introduce Phoebe and she's picking the flowers like the little girl from the original Frankenstein, who gets killed in the. Like,
great.
Yes, but it's different. This is a different movie.
There's a beauty to there's a differentiation between like Phoebe and the rest of the squad, not just because she's the only girl in the crew, but like she's the baby, right? So what I love about that though is that like she is at that wonderful, beautiful age that passes so quickly, where like everything is beautiful and wonderful, and like she sees the innocence and the wonder of the world before like they start interacting with other kids, and then things change, right? Like,
but that's important though, because this is not a cynical movie at all. This is a very sweet and good-natured movie. Like it's got a little bit of harder elements, but that is different. That like this is a movie that is very much told through kids' eyes. Even some of the adults end up seeing things the kids' way. And some of them go along with it from the start. So, but like that is important, and I think Phoebe like represents that. I think she is the representation of that in a lot of ways in this movie.
Yeah, my favorite shot of the whole movie is Phoebe and it's the whole group, but it's Phoebe holding hands with Frankenstein's monster as they walk into the sunset.
As the dusk, yeah. Oh, that is a great.
It's so.
This is a good looking movie as it is.
Visually, it's just like that. Like you could screen, like that could be my phone wallpaper. Like it's just like the perfect like.
Because it leads into the second half of the movie where things get a little bit or definitely more intense, more violent, and so it is kind of them kind of transitioning into the next phase of their life. Some of those kids.
It's so good.
It's really great.
The last member of the squad is Rudy. My favorite as a kid because he was cool.
Rudy is the type of character I would think is like the best character as well.
Oh yeah. Like when I was a kid watching this, I was like, I'm gonna be that guy.
Yeah.
One day, I was not.
But then you grow up and you're like, hey man, Rudy's like a couple years older than these kids. What's like?
He's like smoking cigarettes in the treehouse. Like, what's going on here?
He's lighting matches. He is sweet because he lights matches on his.
He's sweet.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. You know why I like Rudy still though? Honestly, is because like clearly he doesn't like relate. I think Rudy's kind of a big nerd.
Yes, that's what
internally.
It is. Yeah,
and he doesn't really relate to kids his own age.
Well, he's like a greaser kid in like 1980s.
Exactly right. And so like he kind of finds these kids and he's like, you know what? They're actually kind of fun. Like, I'm gonna hang with these kids. Plus, he ices like half the monsters.
Rudy brings it. Yeah, he's the guy. Yeah. He's the guy that gets in there and gets things done.
He gets shit done. Yeah, these kids are young, man. He's got to handle it, right?
Yeah.
No, Rudy's sweet. I don't know. Like, he likes, he likes teenage girls because he's a teenage boy. He lights matches on his boot.
He has a reaction because he's talking about silver bullets and werewolves, and like they talk about how an actual bullet didn't kill the werewolf, and he has like see, I told you so look at his face, that it's so good.
So sweet. His moment in the movie that like absolutely blows my mind every time I watch it and takes me back to going, oh my God, this is the coolest person that ever lived, is I'm in the goddamn club, aren't I? Before he saunters out to the road to kill 3 vampires in a row. Rudy kicks ass. Love Rudy.
He was in real life, that actor is a Lutheran minister, and he officiated Frank Stallone's wedding.
Oh my. Interesting. Okay. All right.
That was the best trivia I think that might be my favorite bit of trivia that I've ever found while doing one of these episodes.
I mean, what? Yeah, I don't even know what you say. So that's it for the squad. I briefly want to go through a couple more human characters, but I really want to get to.
We should talk about
the parents. So Sean's parents in particular, Mary Ellen Trainor and Stephen Mocht, both do a great job. I buy into their characters and what they're going through and kind of like their marital issues, and I understand both perspectives, right? So like, no one's the bad guy in this movie when it comes to the parents. Like,
no,
they both kind of, and they're not like completely patched up and everything's happy. And it's like I said, like the next week they're going to go back to like.
There's a great moment though, too, where Emily comes out and sees Dracula.
Yes.
And Dracula turns into the bat right in front of her. It's when they're on the front lawn, I think.
After the dynamite in the treehouse, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. And they kind of realize, like, it kind of snaps them back to what's most, like, it's almost like they realize that there are bigger things happening than what's going on in their own lives.
They remember that being parents should be their first job.
Yes.
Both of them.
It's a great moment. And it doesn't mean they're going to stay together.
No.
It just means, like, they need to get back to focusing on.
They're a united front in that moment.
Yes. Yeah. They need to focusing on what's best for their kids, too. Mm-hmm. So, and that could mean.
I like that. Yeah. Yes. I'm glad you called that out. That's great. Yeah, they're both great.
She is also my other favorite joke of the movie, and it's not even her, the actress. It's she writes down she gets the phone call, I think from Dracula, and then she writes down interested in the Van Halen diary.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Van Helsing.
God, I forgot about that. That's amazing.
But this is another point I want to make of the movie real quick. Is like this. I'm not a big rewatcher a lot of times, but this is a movie that gets better on rewatches.
Yes,
for me because
there's so much little stuff.
Yep.
And you can catch it with like. Now that we have like the ability to like freeze frame things,
yes,
like clearly freeze frame things, like without tracking lines, makes things much easier. Well, you mentioned Van Helsing. I want to bring him up real quick.
Yeah.
Jack Gwillem as Van Helsing. Brief, ton of fun.
Yeah. Super
over the top. Feels very like he stepped right out of like a Hammer horror film. Or like it's awesome. He's great. What he does with this role is perfect. He is like when I think of Van Helsing, I don't think Hugh Jackman. I go right to Jack Gwillem in Monster Squad, or Anthony Hopkins is pretty great. We mentioned Jason Hervey as EJ. He's really good too.
Yeah.
He's not an adult, but yeah, I should mention. I like Jason Hervey. John Grease as Desperate Man.
Okay.
Who is the Wolfman before he turns into
Wolfman. Okay. Most of my notes are for Wolfman, yeah.
John Grease is awesome.
Yeah.
And I love him. We'll get more into him when we talk Wolfman. But he doesn't really play the Wolfman. He plays so I wanted to mention, before we talk about like the Wolfman in
you want to separate him, yeah.
His performance as the human
his
is so good.
Yeah, because my notes on him are a lot of them.
Let's save it for.
Okay. Yeah.
That was a misstep on my part. Stan Shaw's Detective Saper, he's great. Him and Stephen Malk have
they have a really
good chemistry.
Really good back and forth. Yeah,
you can almost see Lethal Weapon.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's there.
I can't remember if I wrote down. Oh, you know what? Actually, the line I didn't write down was the line I wrote down is it's a back and forth between the airplane pilots at the beginning of the movie, and the guy is just going off about his job.
Oh, it's amazing.
And then the other guy chimes in with like, "Hey, it's not that bad." He goes, "You're right.
You know what? You're right.
You're right. This is a great job."
Yes. These guys are so good at writing like the working man,
yes,
but also writing the kids. So I don't know. It's just impressive. Lisa Fuller as Patrick's older sister. She's very funny.
She is really funny. Yeah.
Really freaking funny. Mm-hmm. Like she could easily be like forgotten as like, I don't know, kind of a joke in the movie, and she is in some ways, but she's actually very funny, and like her delivery is phenomenal. Like really good stuff. But the main event for the human characters, let's just throw it out there, is I'm gonna mispronounce perhaps, is Leonardo Cimino.
Yeah.
As scary
German
guy.
His stuff for me is like the stuff that the line where he sure knows a lot about monsters, they say, and then they zoom in on his arm and the tattoo. That stuff is that moment is really great.
It's like powerful.
Yeah, that moment's really great.
Yeah.
And I love it. That's another thing though. I love that moment because like a kid might not necessarily get that. I mean, they might.
I didn't.
Yeah, they might not. Like the weight might not hit them in that moment, but like someone watched. But like it adds a deeper thing, but it doesn't like linger on it with this character. Like he's not like he's
not like, oh my god, I met Dracula back during World War II.
Yes.
Like there's no sort of like weird.
No, but like he's going along with these kids because he's having a fun time, and he thinks they're fun kids.
It's kind of great, right?
Yeah,
like he's like, and I love that idea. Like this classic idea of like the scary neighbor, right? Or like the scary old person on the street who's like, oh, did you hear that she, I don't know, is a witch, or did you hear that, the guy has a gun or something, like, you know what I mean, like things like that, and like in this case, he's probably just like kind of a quiet old man who like keeps to himself, probably doesn't have a ton of interaction beyond maybe leaving the house here and there, and like they kind of like, I don't know, they kind of like reinvigorate.
Get him out,
like,
yeah.
You can see his excitement as like him serving them pie. He's like so excited to like bake a pie, like. And
you know what? Like there,
great.
The other thing too about being an adult and a kind of maybe even knowing his backstory is that like older people might treat him differently. They might treat him with like sadness, and like maybe he does. Maybe that's why he likes hanging out with the kids so much. Is they're not judging him on that level. They're not like they don't
even understand what
they don't understand it. Like they're just treating him like a human, like a normal human.
That could be it too.
Yes, so I like that, and he gets the exhibition dump in the middle of the movie, and I think it's a really clever way they do it.
He handles it really well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's phenomenal. I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff too. So it's certainly not. The only film I ever saw him in. I was in the original Dune, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, he passed in 2012. But 94. 94. He lived to 94. That's nice. Hey,
that's a good run. That's a good run, as we say.
German guy. I always love scary German guy. One of my favorite characters in film. Period. Let's talk monsters, man. I'm gonna start with Tom Woodruff Jr. as the Gill Man.
Okay.
Obviously, they could not get the full-on rights to the Universal versions, so they had to make tweaks. And this was their version of the creature from the Black Lagoon. Love this design. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's arguably better than the classic creature design. Like, I love the... There's some Predator
He looks like Predator, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I like that. The suit's amazing.
Was this pre-Predator? I can't remember. I feel like
Predator came out before this. I believe.
Did it? Okay.
Yes. I think not long before. But,
okay.
Tom Woodruff Jr., of course, is one of the great suit, not just like suit actors because he's done a ton, but creators. He's a special effects whiz. Like he's one of the greats. He's worked on the Alien franchise and countless sci-fi and horror films. And but he's so good at like working a creature suit too that like he kind of became the guy, like nobody knows the suit better than me because I made it. So he's very good as the creature in this.
This was Stan Winston who designed these,
yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's who Tom Woodruff learned through was Stan. Fairly certain. But he, the creature and the mummy are kind of the two that don't. You're not able to get as much character from them, right? They don't speak,
right?
And therefore, you need to kind of create a character through pure body language. And I think that Woodruff does a really good job with the creature because there's like a feralness to it at certain moments, and there's an interesting animal quality to what he does, especially in the scene when they raise Frankenstein. It's the scene I always think of where there's this like breathing he's doing, and he's like kind of like looking around.
Yeah.
He almost can't control like his. He's so fired up, like from an animal perspective, that it's almost like he does a good job.
He's the best. I think he has the best like legitimate jump scare in this movie, where he pops out of the lake. The gill man pops out of the lake with that Twinkie. Eugene like tosses the Twinkie in the lake. Very good. Yeah, that stuck with me as a kid. I think it's the best example of making these characters because they were 30 years old. I mean, I want to say Creature from the Lagoon was the 50s, so he was the most recent of the monsters in this, as far as the Universal side of things goes. The movies I'm thinking of, but it's a way. I think he's the best example of modernizing the design of these characters.
Agreed.
Because he does look a lot like the Predator. He's the scariest to be of the monsters, and it's a tough. That design is tough, especially with the colors, because that original movie is in black and white, and that's what's always in my head. And I almost think
what's the green, right?
Like you can't go too green. I've seen if you go too green, like it looks fake, for lack of a better term. Yeah. This, I like the look of it. It is differentiated green. It's very wet all the time, which is good.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Ninja Turtle suits.
Yeah, it looks reptilian.
Yeah,
it looks.
I dig it.
Yep, legitimately reptilian. So,
we've got Michael Reed McKay as the Mummy.
The Mummy, yes.
I should mention, you might know him from X2.
Who's he in X2?
He plays Stryker's son, the one who's like the...
Oh, okay.
In the wheelchair. Yep.
It's a
pivotal role.
That's a pretty good physical performance. Like, it's a weird performance because he's technically not doing much, but he also is.
He's very good, yes. Well, he's also a lot of fun as the Mummy. The Mummy does the least out of any of the monsters in this.
Yes.
He kind of gets his ass kicked.
The Mummy is a weird Universal monster, period, or just character in general, because there are a couple of different routes you can go with a Mummy.
Yeah.
And you can go like the Mummy movies did, like the 90s Mummy movie did, and have it. But like a lot of the times it is just kind of a bandaged guy walking around too. But the original Mummy was different too. Like the Mummy's just a weird character. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yes. But I think they do admirably in considering like when you're up against like the Wolfman and Dracula and the creature, like the Mummy's kind of. I mean, he's gonna have a rough go of it, but. He's fun. I think the performance works for me.
There is a charm to him just kind of popping up randomly.
Yes, he's sweet.
Like the Mummy is not really like he's a part of the crew, but he's like doing his own thing.
You think that like the rest of the crew is like,
we gotta, and then finally Dracula's just let him go. Like maybe he'll kill a kid.
Yeah, maybe he'll take one of them out. I don't know. The old guy maybe.
The part where they unwrap him though is very good.
It's really sweet.
Yes,
great effect.
And then
jawbone at the end. Like,
see you later, Band-Aid breath is a great line.
It's great. Yeah. Let's talk the Wolfman.
Yep.
So
this is a Wolfman design, folks.
I love it so much.
Yes.
It is a beautiful mixture of Universal, Hammer, and
it does look like the Oliver Reed one, yeah.
Yes. And some of the danger of like later werewolf designs. Yep. American Werewolf in London, The Howling, it has a little bit of that too, especially the transformation sequence, which is shot so smart and so perfectly. It's shot like violent for a kid's movie, but not too violent. You know what I mean? But it gets the point across, and it is kind of it's the performance too, the human performance. John Grease, when he's transforming, you can like hear the pain in his I believe it.
He really brings it in that phone booth scene.
It's like so good. Oh my god!
And he like a lot of the like the gory transformation stuff is implied through his performance because he's in such pain. And you know what? He's cranked it up to like 12, but like he's over the top. But you have to be to play that character.
Yeah, and you kind of go like, can you imagine living with that? Like living with it, like being a werewolf, it would suck.
Yes,
like he's got to be miserable.
It's essentially a drug addict or an addict too. Yes. Yeah. Or I mean, in superhero terms too, it's like a Hulk too. Like you can't like a rage monster as well, but like you can't control what happens either.
Yes.
So
you're screwed, and you know it's coming too. Like it's not like it's almost worse that like like it's on its way during a full moon. Like he's got to like prep for it, I guess. His moment too when he's like. When he says thank you at the end, I'm like,
yeah, that's right.
Woo, man, that's another heavy moment. Like, oh my god, like, I do love when they talk about like the ways to kill a werewolf. They talk about falling out of a window on a bomb, I believe is what they say, which kind of happens to him.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun. He's amazing. John Grace, like, I love him. He's one of my favorite character actors. He's in one of my favorite comedy films from the 80s. Real Genius with Val Kilmer.
Oh, yeah.
Love that movie. He plays Laszlo. He also plays a big role in the later seasons of Lost. He is Ben Linus's dad in the Dharma Initiative, and he's a real POS in that show.
Okay.
But he's really good. Roger Linus is the character he plays.
I'm going to look him up just to jog my memory a little bit.
But yeah, so John Gray's awesome. Love him. He's also Uncle Rico. In Napoleon Dynamite.
Uncle Rico, yes.
I mean,
I remember him now in Lost. Yes,
Uncle Rico.
Yeah.
I mean, Uncle Rico's fantastic. So that guy needs. Yeah.
You know what? Napoleon Dynamite might not be for everybody. I liked it when I was younger. I've not watched it in a very long time, but even if it isn't for you, I don't understand how you could dislike Uncle Rico.
He's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. We all deserve an uncle like Uncle Rico.
Throw a football over the mountains. Yeah.
So sweet.
the best part of the movie is when he pegs it with a stake.
It's so cool. The movie's pretty funny, actually. I don't know if it holds up. I don't think I want to watch it again because I feel like I'm going to hate it now.
That's the thing is, last time I watched it, I fall on the enjoying Napoleon Dynamite side. I enjoyed it a lot. I have not seen it in a long time, so.
Let's move on to. I'm gonna save the best for last for me.
Okay.
Let's talk about Duncan Rieger as Count Dracula.
Yeah.
There have been so many. I believe, and I have no statistics to back this up. I think that there has never been a villain portrayed on screen more times by more actors than Dracula. Like, it has to be one of the most played characters ever in the history of cinema, right? There's been so many variations and so many actors that have tried to play this.
Yeah, I'm trying to,
I mean, can you think of another,
there's, a ton of, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde movies, too, but,
sure.
I don't...
But this has to be up there.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's
hundreds of
I might be... because there has not been, a Dr. Jekyll movie. Oh, there was an Eddie Izzard Hammer that I have to check out. There's a new Hammer movie with Eddie Izzard as Jekyll.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll check it.
Like a lot. But between...
But no, sorry.
Let's just say,
But definitely, yes.
It's got to be up there.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Duncan Rieger is my favorite Dracula. I'm just saying it.
Okay.
And here's why.
Yeah, I'm thinking through it now, yeah.
He's a good-looking dude, so he's got the sex appeal, but he doesn't care about that. He's not trying to seduce anybody. He's just he's a bastard. He is a nasty, evil. You try living as long as this guy's lived, and not turn out to be kind of the worst person. He rules. He's cold and he's mean and he's just he's everything I want Dracula to be.
Yeah.
Get rid of the romance. I don't need the romance. Give me that mean bloodsucker. That's what I want. And he's so good at it. But he's also so slick. The way he strolls up to a kid's clubhouse and throws dynamite into it.
He's crazy
F
too.
Your kids.
He is the other thing I like about it too is I love that he gets his cool guys don't look at explosions moment.
It's sweet.
he has no remorse for killing these kids.
Dude,
that's it kind of hit me watching it now. Oh, but that motherfucker's trying to kill
he assumed they're dead at that point. he assumed he had killed.
He's not going to sneak up behind them as a bat and then try to suck their blood. He is going to their house and just blowing them up with dynamite.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to be bothered with it. He's got shit to do.
Yeah, he will.
He's got to open a portal.
He will use certain moves on the ladies.
Sure.
Yeah, the three wives, the three brides. Yeah. But he these kids. Fuck them kids.
They're annoying, and he wants to get rid of them. Also, he's a jerk to Frankenstein's monster.
Yep.
He's a jerk to the Wolfman. He's a jerk to everybody. He's a real stone cold dick.
Yeah, but I like that about him.
Great.
Because he's in charge of people. He's taking charge. He's like a shitty. He's the boss.
Yeah.
Talk back to him and then see what happens.
He's sweet. Yeah. No. I think he's my favorite Dracula. I'm pretty sure.
The other thing too, and I think this is for the whole movie, is even in the 80s, there was a campiness to these old monsters.
Sure.
But this movie treats them with respect.
It does, yeah.
And it treats them like he's a threat in this movie.
Hell yeah. He kills 14 cops with hand-to-hand combat at the end.
I love the Lugosi Dracula, but the Lugosi Dracula is very campy in some ways.
Sure.
It's very, and it can be
theatrical.
Seen as and especially later on down the line as you go back and watch it, it can be a little silly.
but this one has some elements of that. At least.
It does, yeah.
Like enough elements to where you think it's where at least your child's brain goes this is the universal Dracula. This is him. Even if it's a very different performance.
But he's also got elements of the Hammer Dracula, and then a little bit of the Langella Dracula too. That
Absolutely.
was so I think those are kind of the main ones that I remember. But the other thing I like about it too, I love his castle in the beginning, and I love you're in good hands when they show the armadillo.
Gotta have the armadillo, dude. Have to.
Because that was in the original movie, and there are people I don't know why there's an armadillo. And
Armadillos live in the desert.
Yes.
What is it doing in a European castle?
Because in the original movie, they just thought it was kind of weird looking and unsettling, so they just so they just threw it in.
I love that the NECA figure, by the way.
Yeah, does it come with it?
It comes with the armadillo. Yeah. Of the Bella.
That was the thing, is they were just there were armadillos all over where they were filming, and so they were just kind of I think they're just kind of let's
somebody put that weird rat in the plane.
It looks enough
probably didn't even know what it was. Right? Anyway, Duncan Rieger is sweet. Let's move on. I think our final character. I think we're good after this. Tom Noonan's Frankenstein's monster. Tom Noonan's Frankenstein's. That's a good band name. Tom Noonan. I've seen a lot of Tom Noonan interviews for some reason.
Okay.
He's a weird dude. He's an oddball.
I don't think I've seen many Tom Noonan interviews.
He's an odd duck. But boy, can he play a character.
Yes.
My word.
Ripper from Last Action Hero will stay with me forever.
It scared the hell out of me. Frankenstein in this movie. He's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the quintessential Frankenstein, right? Like for me, it's always going to be Karloff. Always. Okay. But he's my favorite Frankenstein.
Okay.
I love him. He's just his performance is so beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's just everything he does in this movie, his interactions with the other kids, his discovering of the modern world and learning slang terms, but also being when he has to turning on at the end when he turns on his I'm gonna F you up, Dracula. He's scary and intimidating, and when he first shows up, he's scary and intimidating. It's Noonan's really, really, really good in this role.
Yeah.
And he's good in everything. I'm looking through his credits, and I'm just he's in Heat.
I think we've talked about him with he was in House of the Devil.
Yeah, he's great in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great in Heat. Oh my God, he's in Manhunter. Whoa. He plays. Have you seen Manhunter?
I have not. I've never seen Manhunter.
That's a good one for the show.
We should throw that out there. That's a blind spot for me.
Hell yeah, Michael Mann.
Yep.
Yeah, he's in Manhunter. He plays a very important role, and he's terrifying. But his Frankenstein is just so. I don't know, man. It's weird to talk about it without getting too nostalgic, because I have a bias for this, because he's my favorite character in the movie, really overall.
Mm-hmm.
his connection with Phoebe is so sweet and so pure, and in a lot of ways goes against what the Universal monsters are supposed to be about. What monsters in general, like you said, the flower scene, like he should kill the girl, right? Like that's the standard, like that's the classic scene. But like instead, he's like they're like hanging out in a clubhouse together. Like it's awesome.
Yeah,
and he's a member of the Monster Squad by the end. Like he is a full-fledged, like he's one of them. I don't know. Like I love it.
So a couple things about Frankenstein's monster for me, I guess, at a more personal level. Like you did mention, Frankenstein's monster to me has always been the most sympathetic of the monsters to me.
Yeah.
But all of them have a level of that to it. Yeah. Even Dracula is kind of like, there is a level of like being cursed with immortality. Like where there is part of it's gotta suck. And I mean the creature from the Black Lagoon, like, you know, he's not trying to bother anybody. The creature's most of the time he's just like hanging on the swamp. Like, don't bother him, leave him alone.
Why are we trying to
the Wolfman we've kind of talked about. Obviously, he's kind of cursed with this affliction. But to me, like, Frankenstein has always been the biggest bummer because like this is a thing that like should not exist. Like, this is due to a madman playing God.
Yes,
that brings this creature to life, and you feel bad. And even in the original Frankenstein. And I will say, Karloff's my favorite, but like I do, Tom Noonan is right up there. But like even when he kills the little girl in Frankenstein, you just like you still feel bad because like he doesn't know what he's just a big dumb monster.
He's a zombie.
He doesn't understand what he has done here. So
doesn't he throw her in the lake?
He throws her in the lake, and it's almost like he's kind of sitting there like, swim, you idiot. Like, do something. So, like, it is, like, it does. So, to me, Frankenstein's been and some of it is, like, the sadness in Boris Karloff's eyes, too.
It's
like,
really great.
Yes. Just his look in general. And Tom Noonan does a great job of capturing that as well.
I'm sure he was.
Yes.
There's no doubt he was inspired by. Yeah.
The other thing, too, is when I was younger, I dressed up as a Frankenstein's monster as a kid. And I looked like the Karloff monster, but I think my connection was probably due to this movie.
Again, another thing,
The weird thing about like the Universal monsters to me are like the ultimate gateway horror, because we always talk about gateway horror, but it's not even the movies themselves. It's like the designs and the characters because they're like they're so seeped into everything, especially around this time of year. So like if you're like, I want to dress up as Dracula or Frankenstein's monster, the odds are like it's probably
inspired by
that. So I was dressed up as like the Karloff version of the monster, but I know I hadn't seen that movie by that point. I had seen this, I'm sure of it, and it was probably like the reason I love Frankenstein's monster was so much was because of Tom Noonan's performance in this, and probably because of that ending as well. So
it's a huge part of it. I mentioned my favorite shot in the movie, which features Frankenstein. I'm gonna call him Frankenstein because why not? My favorite scene, I think, in the movie is up in the treehouse, and it's all about Noonan's performance for me in this scene, and the kid's reaction to it. And when he picks up that Halloween mask, and then he touches his own face, it's so good. It's another like just like Scary German Guy. Like it's another like almost a realization. Like his interaction with the innocence and like the that childlike wonder, right? His interaction with that almost opens Frankenstein's monster's eyes, as silly as it sounds, to like, oh, maybe I'm scary. Like he's never like thought of that before. Like he's like, oh, like I don't want to be scary. Like, but am I? Like,
right?
And then they cut to that sunset scene. It's perfect.
That's during the montage. Is that during the montage? I can't remember. I'm getting the montage jump. What are your thoughts on the montages?
It's fantastic.
Do you like the Monster Squad rap at the end?
It's all right. I like the montage song.
So the montage song is better. Yeah.
Rock Until You Drop.
Yes.
That's good. That's good stuff. They're printing cards and Rudy's making silver bullets out of...
There's a joke, though.
The mother's...
Oh, and he goes up and steals
forks.
the crossbow, and the teacher is like right behind, and he's distracted. You're like, oh, boy.
Is that intentional?
I took it that way this time when I was watching it. And maybe it's just because we live in the times we do.
Okay. I wasn't sure, but I caught it too, and I was like, is it?
I mean, it is a funny joke.
A little bit, right?
But
but also, like...
But also, it's funny in a way, like, I should have laughed at that.
Yes, I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for characters. Look, it's
I want to say something about Dekker real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
And then we wrap. Well, I feel like as I'm watching this movie and I'm looking back at some of his other work too, I feel like he's a director that missed the next decade. Like I feel like he's out of time in some ways because he's like the type of director that wears his influences on his sleeve, and he's kind of like the nerd doing well, you know what I mean? He's the kind of director that would become big in the 90s, like Kevin Smith and Tarantino, Edgar Wright. He's very similar to that, and I feel like he came too early in some ways.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Because, like, I love that we got what we got from Fred Dekker during his run, but it's sad that we didn't get more.
Mm-hmm. He kind of RoboCop 3 was the one that kind of
killed him.
Yes,
yep.
He would go on to do some TV, like he did. I think he was Star Trek Enterprise too,
and he's written plenty of stuff since then. But yeah, he like when I think of directors, not just genre, just in general, like he's probably the most underrealized director.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like he's the one who I think had a lot more really like great films to make, and it just didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it sucks, but I guess that happens.
But this
sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, this is a great one to visit.
So great.
Revisit around Halloween time. He in interviews he's got that Carpenter thing with The Thing, where like he's like, yeah, you know, it would have been great if this would have been discovered around the time it was released. Like there is a bitterness to it.
I get it.
And I do get that. He's honest. And he's honest about it, and I appreciate that. But it has I mean it has gone on to at least find its audience and find
I get the vibe that he is certainly appreciative that people love the movie.
Right.
But, you know, it didn't help his cause at the time. So yeah, man, Monster Squad is just like God. It's a really fun one to talk about with you because we have not yet.
Yeah.
And which is weird. I don't know how we made it this long without.
I don't think we even did it when we were doing like the 3-part.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But even then,
those are a blur at this point.
Yeah.
But, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
But it's another weird one to talk about because it's like it's such a like a formative movie for me and so important to me just from like a movie perspective that like I can't talk about it with any sense of like criticism.
Right. Oh yeah.
But on the flip side of that, like I don't think there's a lot to criticize about what this is trying to. I think it everything it sets out to achieve as a film and as a story, it does. It like
hits the mark. Yeah.
Yes. So if it's not your thing, great. But if it is, like, I don't see how you can really complain about what it does because it's really, really, really good stuff.
Yep. Yeah. I would agree.
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
Are we wrapping up Monster Squad?
We are.
Do you want to do the 2000s next? You want to jump back to the list, or do
what
you
are you thinking, man?
I think we do. Let's do the 2000s, and then I think maybe we jump back to either.
Yes.
You want to do a first after 2000s? You want to do a first episode, last episode?
We have to find one.
Yeah. What were you thinking? I know you said you had one on your
mind. Did I?
I thought you did, yeah. But this may have been off air.
But the problem is, like, you've seen a lot of horror shows.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of horror shows. Like, you've seen all of Bates Motel.
I have.
That's one that I could have done.
Yeah.
I could watch the first one, but we can't do that because you've...
Okay. I think we still could, but I
you could fill in the gaps.
I've seen all of Supernatural, so like that's one.
That's a no-go.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you watch The Vampire Diaries.
Oh my God.
Is that horror?
So I watched the first couple of seasons of The Vampire Diaries. I mean, it's horror enough. We could get away with
adjacent.
That. Same thing with Riverdale. I think we could get away with it.
Yes. I'd have to think on this one.
Okay, let's do.
But we have time, so we're going to do 2000s next.
Yeah, let's do our top 10 of the 2000s. Yep. We'll jump back into our list because we got sidetracked for Halloween, and then I guess maybe we could do a Thanksgiving episode instead. We'll decide next time.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because we'd be coming up on Thanksgiving, I think, around that time.
We talked about Thanksgiving, right?
I don't think we, like the Eli Roth
the actual movie?
Yeah, I don't think we have. We haven't talked about Thanksgiving either.
Oh, my God.
If we're doing Thanksgiving, I would really like Nikki to join us, but...
We should review Night of the Living Bread. Do you remember that?
No.
Night of the Living Bread?
I don't.
Oh, my gosh, Tim. We'll talk about it. It's real. Right. It's real.
Well, we're going to do our favorite horror movies of the 2000s next, and then maybe we'll do Night of the Living Bread.
Who knows?
Yeah. All right. Stay safe, everybody. Stay scared.